Let's talk now in greater detail about the concept of culture we use in this course. As I mentioned earlier, we discuss and conceptualize culture as dominant images that challenge people. This approach to culture is designed for a world dominated by experiences of globalization. It differs in important respects from the concept that is regularly used in Euro-American contexts, in the news media, and in everyday life. I would like first to go through this current popular image to illustrate for you from where it came, how it developed, and what are its strengths and fundamental limitations. Think for a minute about how you might use the concept of culture. Can you name a few cultures around the world? Can you speak a few sentences using the word culture in ways you might often hear? Might you talk, for example, about Japanese culture, American culture, or say French culture? Probably when you talk about cultures, you are speaking or thinking about cultures as something akin to membership groups. That is, people are members of cultures. The key to such membership lies in what anthropologists call the concept of sharedness. All members of a culture are thought to share something in common. There are many ways of describing what is shared by members of a culture. One common way is to say that a culture is characterized by shared beliefs and values. That is, all members of a culture share certain beliefs and values. The importance of shared beliefs and values lies in where they are located. That is, they underlie what we say and what we do. They are down below. They are in some ways and in some sense fundamental to the society in question. For example, if we are talking about Japanese culture, we would say that shared Japanese beliefs and values underlie what people in Japan say and do. So think about this popular image of culture as referring to something that is down deep. Culture consists of fundamental assumptions, fundamental beliefs and values that are located somewhere deep in your gut. By asserting or implying that cultures are both shared and underlying, we are also implying that cultures are difficult to change. Think about it. How do you change your fundamental assumptions? How do you change society's fundamental beliefs and values? How do you change something that's foundational to society and lives deep in your gut? This popular image of culture carries the sense that culture change somehow requires fundamental restructuring. Now let's step back for a moment and explore how this concept emerged. This particular interpretation of the word culture was advanced by American anthropologists in the early part of the 20th century, particularly during the 1930s and 1940s. At the time, the change was an important innovation. Earlier, in the 19th century, the world had still been organized pretty much through a set of colonial powers, European nation-states in particular. The British, French, Dutch, Spanish, and Portuguese were colonial powers. A small set of very powerful countries had set up colonies all over the world. One could picture or map much of the world as a huge collection of colonies with umbilical links back to Western Europe, from where the colonial nation-state exerted its authority and control. During this period, the primary theory of human beings, societies, and indeed societal development, could be characterized with the term unilinear evolution. The central argument was that all societies were progressing or evolving along roughly a straight line. One could compare all the societies of the world or map all the societies of the world with a simple straight line, a straight line ending with an arrow at the top. Anthropological theorists, as well as others attempting to compare societies, competed with one another to sort out the key features that led one society to evolve into another. These researchers produced all sorts of models or classifications of the world's societies based upon their level of progress. Might you be able to guess which type of society was at the top? Indeed, it was the industrialized West that was always on top. Down below us were other kinds of societies. For example, agricultural societies, horticultural societies. Horticulture refers to the use of digging sticks rather than a plow. Below these were primitive or even savage societies. So the whole theory of primitive life developed during this time period. And it fit a world characterized by colonial relations. The colonial nations were out civilizing the world, and they were helping the lower societies advance into higher states of being. In the 20th century, the world changed as these colonies, one by one and sometimes